It's a glorious Sunday morning and we are next to a riverside in the middle of nowhere. We've been told we have neighbors, but apparently it'll take quite a trek to get to either of them. There are only 3 of them and they're certainly not within earshot.
Well, I can't believe it's been only one day since we've left Delhi. I mean, it makes you kind of wonder, what are we doing? What are we doing with our life over there?
Wow, I don't believe it. But on camera, no less, Johan has just voiced an existential dilemma that has been plaguing mankind forever. Where are we going with our lives? And I suppose the answer to that is yet another question. Where are we? Who are we?
Where are we?
What is our place in the universe? Give us some context.
A writer, a photographer, on the road exploring a fascinating world in a state of perpetual motion, constantly departing while always arriving, seeking a window into an ever-changing universe. This is Wion Traveler.
If you're driving, get a full night's sleep.
Or you don't sleep at all.
What's the plan, Johan?
Well, heading out early, going to the hills.
Oh, there's never a better feeling than getting out of Delhi, man. The best part about living in Delhi, leaving it.
First unhealthy breakfast of the trip.
Oh,
Palak paneer. It's what dreams are made of.
so would you say the palak paneer and aloo ka parathas are fantastic at 7 a.m.?
Well, I mean, that's how you keep going all day.
Right. So,
I mean, this is our only stop, I take it, until we reach.
well, more or less. We'll probably stop for tea, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think you need to be a certain kind of animal to have to have palak paneer made in ghee with aloo ka parathas. Actually, it's all right if you're Johan and you're just going to crash. But if you have to drive, then I would suggest something a tad lighter.
Let's see, Nainital 39. Oh, careful. So we are in Haldwani.
We're in Haldwani, there's the last foothills town, and that, my friend, is the first view of the hills. Not bad, it's 11 o'clock. We left a little late, we left at about 5 o'clock. 6 hours we're here. On the way to Kumaon, there's a small hamlet called Salari, where almost all shops serve this local delicacy called aloo raita. Essentially sautéed potato chunks dunked in mustard and curd. It's quite fiery and opens up your sinuses.
This raita is prepared with mustard, so whenever you eat it and like whenever you are traveling and you feel like vomiting or something, like your brain is hanging, so you have a spoon which is full of mustard and directly opens all the senses of your mind and you feel very comfortable. After that, it's the reason the whole street over here sells the same thing, because this place is only basically for the travelers only who travel from one place to another and on between they want to have a meal.
Check it out. Thank you. Hot. That's what I'm talking about. Good stuff, huh?
Yeah, you can definitely taste the mustard in there.
And this is red fried chilies.
This popular dish is guaranteed to shake sleepy drivers out of their lethargy.
Oh, what?
How is it?
Should be less greedy about that.
You just had the whole thing.
Oh, it's yummy though.
It was a bit of a surprise to talk to Pankaj, who owns the place. He's worked in hotels around the country and come back home to try and do something about his family dhaba. He's got big plans and shows me around the place. Full power to him, I say.
Lot of space so where people can come, party, birthday party.
This is perfect.
So after that, so from here you'll find all the jungle view. Like I wanna do spread some seeds of the flowers.
Yeah.
So in like 6 months or 7 months you'll find all the value of the flowers over here. So as soon as they grow, so I'm gonna develop this place more well.
But the star of the show will still be the mustard seed and the aloo.
Yeah, that's the thing. And apart from that, we're gonna have lots of main course from Kumaon.
We're in Bhimtal. It's just going to come across, just across the bend. We'll be sitting with like fish, okay, right there at the corner, and all the travelers would stop and buy fish from you because nobody bothered asking you because everybody assumed he's put it out of the lake. But thing is, you can't fish in Bhimtal. It's a secret lake. So he would. So the fish comes from Bareilly. But he sits right next to the lake.
5.5 hours after leaving Noida, we are finally in the hills. Even though I've been coming here for years, the first sight of this grand lake, Bhimtal, never ceases to gladden my heart. A confirmation, as it were, that I'm entering Uttarakhand's Lake District, and by implication, that I've left the city and my life there behind. While most people make a beeline for the crown jewel in the Lake District, the lovely hill town of Nainital, I've always been prejudiced towards the trio of lakes that lie to its east, Bhimtal, Naukuchiatal and Sattal. Separated by a hillside, the ridge between Bhimtal and Sattal still holds the most diverse forests in these parts.
Pretty, huh?
What a place, huh?
Really pretty. All right. We're there.
Hogia!
Now we gotta walk. In the hills, you gotta walk.
Oh.
I'm sure this car will go a lot of places, but in the hills, you gotta walk, man.
This time though, we're heading to a remoter locale to the northeast of these lakes, where by a rivulet lies a pretty little resort that's properly disconnected. With no motorable road and an absence of mobile network connectivity, this Valhalla lies on the other end of the spectrum from urban life.
Beautiful, man. Whew. Unbelievable.
Solitude by the riverside, spelt with soul, pardon the pun, is almost perfect. Perfect except for the pun, that is. But you can forgive the owners for the sentiment. Here, in a narrow gorge on the banks of the river that dances down the hills and gathers in little pools along the way, this deliberately nondescript resort melds right into the landscape.
It feels a bit unreal, this place. More so, since just a few hours back we were in Noida, a place that feels like a parallel existence. The soundtrack, complete silence, superimposed on the constant burbling of the stream through the woods and punctuated by the intermittent chirping of birds, is, well, perfect. If only beauty could satisfy hunger. At this point, after all that walking, I'm famished and I'm going to head out for an al fresco lunch that's being served.
Step into my heart. Hi, Manish.
Hi Meraj. Good to see you.
Finally.
Manish Chandra's story is one we've heard all too often. City slicker, tiring of the urban life, seeking a connection with the natural world, and more so, a bit of peace and quiet in the hills. Manish used to be an investment banker, and while his erstwhile occupation probably made it possible for him to invest in this place, it's about as far removed in character from the life that he leads at Solitude. He's got two places, this one by the riverside and another in the hills, and we intend to overstay our welcome at both.
How was your drive? Was it all right?
Well, I'm used to this drive. I've made it a gazillion times
Yes.
up to Kumaon.
Absolutely.
But this is the first time I'm seeing this place. I've heard so much about it.
You know, it was by accident that I was on a trek here and I just fell in love with, you know, the river around, and that the Parital was just spectacular.
Oh,
and
that pool right at the top.
absolutely.
Oh, that's
So-
spectacular, huh?
Absolutely. In fact, we were first time we couldn't even reach there, and then when I did, I actually found it on Google Earth. And that's when I went chasing, you know, looking for it. It's mesmerizing. It has a certain energy about that place that's difficult to describe. You know, once you're around it, you know, you go into a different zone, and I mean, I just couldn't stand the city life. So, you know, for almost 20 years,
Quiet doggies.
for 20 years now, I've been coming here every single month at least once.
It's really next door, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
if you, like we left, well, we got a little delayed today. We left at about 5:30.
Yeah.
And we took our time and we drove slowly, but we still got in by about 1. I mean, when you think about it, it doesn't seem like that much. That, you know, if you leave on Saturday morning, getting here by 1 and then leaving again on, say, Sunday night.
Yeah.
But, I mean, once you get here, you realize a day and a half actually stretches on for quite long.
Absolutely.
And secondly, you don't really need to drive.
Yeah, but what I normally do is when I really want to have a full weekend here,
Right.
I take the Ranikhet
Ranikhet
Express
Express.
Friday night, and then you're here at 5 at Katgodam.
Right.
By 6:30 we are at Solitude.
Right.
So you get all of Saturday, all of Sunday, and then about, you know, again about 6 o'clock in the evening we leave after 2 full days here.
Right.
And
And
catch it back 8:40, and we're early morning, we're in Delhi, and you know, just freshen up and you're ready for work.
I noticed you've got quite a vegetable garden as well, so you're obviously growing your own
in
thing.
fact, we do.
ये मिर्चियाँ तेज हैं ये?
This is quite sharp.
Quite sharp, huh?
In fact, I love the fact that, you know, I can grow my own vegetables. We have our own water source, so we have a few natural mineral sources.
Right.
So, you know, in this day and age,
Right.
if you have your own clean, natural mineral water, you have your own sort of food that you're growing in front of your own eyes with your own hands.
Fantastic.
In fact, we've done so much which is sort of keeping consciousness of the environment.
Yeah.
Traditionally, people had Roshandans which were on top.
Right,
so
correct.
we thought it makes
I haven't
more
heard
sense.
that word in about 20
I know.
years.
So we thought it makes sense to have these at the lower level. So as the cool river air goes by, the
Right.
cold air slides in,
Right.
and it generates that cycle, and we have a vent on top. So it works well. Same thing with hot water and all of that. It's all solar.
Well, I'm certainly very happy that you haven't built a road down to this
Oh,
place. I'm very happy you've not done that.
absolutely, absolutely.
Otherwise,
I mean,
you could have cut through the mountainside and
no,
built one there.
the 20-minute trek to reach here, all along the river, that's a very important filter for me.
I agree.
That only those kind of people, you know, 80% of the people say, oh, no road, we are not going there. And that's great for us because they're not the kind of people who will appreciate a place like this.
Oh,
Hi.
Hey. Where'd you come from?
Got my signature and my sign in.
Oh, the sea form.
Very good. Oh,
The sea
that-
form, bro. As a foreigner, as a foreigner, you know, it is the small price to pay for the great love and adulation you get from the masses and all those people who want to click selfies with him.
Yes.
Who think he's some kind of cricketer.
Oh, really?
And I give him this look saying, "Oh, you've been busted." They're like, "We knew it."
That's a good setup.
Yes.
You grow all your own
Yes,
vegetables and
absolutely,
everything?
organically and
Let's sample
very-
some, I say.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pure farm to mouth kind of, farm to table kind of.
Let's get some unfamished.
experience. So, really.
Famished.
Yes,
After you,
let's go.
sir.
Thank you. Thanks.
We were both so hungry and the food so good that once we started eating, there was no more conversation, just the sound of two contented souls chomping away.
Manish wasn't kidding about the eco-friendly credentials of this place either. The rooms have mud walls as traditional houses in Kumaon used to have. These stay warm in winter and cool in the summer months. There's no air conditioning either. You have to make do with desert coolers, which are more than adequate. In any case, proximity to the river sends a cool breeze up to the resort. What a spot! I can't help but think about the Yamuna river in Delhi and how lovely it would be if it were clean and if there was a promenade where we could sit around on breezy evenings. One can dream, I suppose.
While Mirage is sitting and thinking, I'm going to try and do exactly the opposite. Engage in my yoga practice and empty my mind. The sound of the water gushing down is really loud and strangely quite calming. It's almost as if the sound blankets all distractions, pacifies random thoughts, and suddenly the only thing you can hear is the sound of your own breath. I'm not religious, but this comes pretty darn close. On the way in, Manish asked if I'd be interested in eating some corn on the cob. What I didn't realize, here, that means plucking the cob to start with. I've seen people on the streets sell corn cobs, but this time around I had to grill it myself. Figured I might as well take one for Mirage as well, who's lounging about in the gazebo. The sun goes down pretty early here, more so because we're at the bottom of a river valley. Other guests at the property are sitting around next to a bonfire. It's a pretty narrow slice of sky overhead. Given that, an astonishing number of stars come out at night.
After the kind of slumber that John Keats called dreamless but sweet as clover, I've woken up feeling better than I have for a long time. At times like these, it's so apparent just how much living in cities and breathing polluted air affects us. But then I also know that if I spend 1 month here, I'd be craving for the city. It's like a catch-22 situation. I suppose this is the best way to do it. Get away every chance you get.
We're heading up further north to Manish's holiday home that he now runs as a bona fide resort. Solitude in the Himalayas. Now that just exposes his investment banking temperament. The man has not one, but 2 places in the hills. We're not complaining though.
Gaggar lies at 2100 meters above sea level, which is significantly cooler, and before too soon, the clouds start rolling in. Our slick ride is one heck of a head turner anywhere, especially so in the hills, but that's not true in Gaggar, or for that matter anywhere close to Ramgarh. And that's because these hills are dotted with the summer vacation homes of the rich and famous, mostly from the plains.
Alright? From the river to the hills. Top of the hills.
I know this gentleman. I've been here before. Prithvi ji! Namaskar, kaise hain aap?
Good to see you. Good to see you after many years. This is my friend Johan. Wow, we are happy to be here. It was lovely down in the river, but
This is more like it.
Nice and
Huh?
clouded.
Much. Oh, look at that rolling in, man.
Wow. Oh,
Look at that rolling in. Maybe
we're
we
in
should.
the cloud.
Yeah, you should just send the drone up and let it find its own destiny.
So long.
Master's touch. Wow. Wow.
Hey Meraj, you have to come check out this view.
These salubrious climbs have drawn many an illustrious name over the past century, and that has included poets Rabindranath, Tagore and Mahadevi Varma. The highest mountain around is densely forested and forms part of the Mahesh Khan Forest Reserve. Tagore Top is so called because Tagore once built and lived in a cottage at its summit. That trail is on our radar, but right now we are happy to traipse about this mild walk that crisscrosses down the valley. Prithvi was born and brought up in Gaggar and points out to the large number of rhododendron trees along the way. I can just imagine what this path must look like in the month of April when those are in full bloom. Prithvi is a keen student of Hindi literature, and there's one house in particular that he wants us to stop by at. Mahadevi Varma. Articulating that name after so many years instantly teleports me back in time and brings on a surge of nostalgia. An iconic poet, writer, social reformer and freedom fighter, Mahadevi Varma's slight figure belied her towering stature in the arts and in retrospect in the history of India's freedom struggle. My memories of Mahadevi, though, are tinged with fear and dread. Her work featured liberally in the curricula of my school years, and decoding her verse and prose was no mean task, especially for someone like me not well nurtured in the tongue. It was only in my teens when I began to read her more personal pieces that I finally began to truly understand the nuances in her writing. Prithvi studied in this little school Mahadevi set up next to her house and has memories of meeting her. I'm properly envious.
We have but a day to explore the countryside. We're definitely going to climb Tagore Top, where apparently Tagore wrote his famous poem, Gitanjali. We're going to have Solitude's fancied breakfast on the deck and generally tool about. We feel more than a world away from the city. Weekend escapes from Delhi can get pretty action-packed.